Hello, my name is Muzaffer Özgüleş. I'm an architectural historian, a children's author, and popular science writer. I'm currently based in Alanya, Turkey. For the past 16 years, I have been writing stories that sit at the intersection of history, science, and architecture. Books aimed at the readers of all ages, but especially at children. Today, I want to tell you about a project that began with this book and that has grown into a proposal for an animation series. Okay. And that has the potential to become something larger still, a new kind of media platform for architectural history. Let me start with a trailer that I prepared using the drawings from the book with the help of AI. 12-year-old Deniz loves buildings. One night he receives an email from Mimar Sinan. It leads him into a 7-level computer game where every puzzle is hidden inside one of Sinan's real monuments. To win, he must leave the screen, visit the buildings, and think like a detective. But he is not playing alone. When that player sends an unexpected invitation to join forces, everything changes. At last, they complete the game and discover who invited them to the Architect Sinan Adventure, where history becomes a game you have to live. Okay. Now let me ask a question. What would you do if you received an email from Architect Sinan? Architect Sinan, as most of you will know, was the greatest architect of the Ottoman Empire. He was born around 1490 and died in 1588. He has no email address, he never did, and yet this is exactly how the book I wrote began. The Architect Sinan Adventure was published in 2016 by Yapı Kredi Yayınları, one of Turkey's most prestigious literary publishers. It is now in its 24th edition. For a Turkish children's novel, that is a remarkable number, and it reflects not just sales, but a sustained life in classrooms, on reading lists, in the hands of children across Turkey. As I said, the story of the book follows a 7-stage computer game. Each stage is set inside a Sinan building in Istanbul or Edirne. Deniz explores the Süleymaniye Mosque and hunts for a hidden suit room. He sails a paperboat through Sinan's ancient underground water channels. He becomes site foreman for the construction of the Büyükçekmece Bridge. And in the final stage, he and a classmate become Sinan's apprentices, building the Celebiye Mosque from foundations to dome. The central twist is this. Some of the game's puzzles cannot be solved at the computer. At certain stages, Deniz has to leave the screen, travel across Istanbul, visit Sinan's actual monuments in person, and look at them with fresh eyes. The game insists that the real world matters, that the best way to understand a building is to stand inside it with its story in your head. So, who was Architect Sinan? Before I go further, let me tell you a bit about that. Because Sinan's life is, in itself, one of the most remarkable stories in the history of architecture. After all, Sinan was dubbed the Michelangelo of the East. He was born in a village near Kayseri in central Anatolia, probably around 1490. As a young man, he was selected through the Ottoman devshirme system. He converted to Islam, entered the army, and for several decades served as a soldier and military engineer, traveling with the Ottoman forces across Persia, Egypt, the Balkans, Hungary, and Rhodes. He was appointed chief architect of the Ottoman Empire at around the age of 50. What followed was 50 more years of building, more than 400 recorded structures across 3 continents, including aqueducts, caravanserais, hammams, bridges, and mosques, culminating in his masterpiece, the Selimiye Mosque in Edirne. Okay, by the way, every detail in the book, every building, every anecdote, every architectural fact is sourced from Sinan's own autobiography, The Book of Buildings, which was dictated to his poet friend in Sinan's final years. You can see on this slide the 6 main buildings that feature in the story. Each stage has a puzzle inside the building. In the Şehzade complex, Deniz searches for a throne that Sinan placed inside for a prince who never got to be the Sultan. In the Süleymaniye, he hunts for the hidden suit room. In the Sokullu, he searches for 4 tiny black stones from the Kaaba in Mecca. And in Selimiye, the last puzzle is an upside-down tulip carved into one of the columns. Finding it requires an overnight stay inside the mosque that goes badly wrong, but I won't spoil the ending. The point I want to make about this structure is it is tailor-made for screen adaptation. Each building is a self-contained episode. Each puzzle is a visual spatial challenge. Each stage ends with a discovery that changes what we understand about the building and the man who made it. The Architect Sinan Adventure is not a standalone book, actually. It is the first in a series featuring the same characters across different periods of history. The second book, Runaway Byzantines, was published in 2021 and is set in the Byzantine world. The third, the Hagia Sophia Parchment, centers on different periods of Hagia Sophia and will be published in 2027. A fourth book, Climate Guardians, is in progress, connecting architectural heritage to climate change. Each book is a different historical period, a different architectural tradition, a different adventure. Taken together, they represent at least 4 seasons of an animated series. That is the scope of the property I'm bringing to this conversation. So we now come to the animation project. When I negotiated my publishing contract with Yapı Kredi Yayınları in 2016, I made a deliberate decision. I not only held the transition rights, including English, but I also retained all animation, film, game, and interactive media rights. That was not an accident. It was because I always saw this story as belonging on screen as much as on the page. The book's structure maps naturally to animation. The 7 game stages can become either 13 episodes in a series or a single 90-minute feature film. The visual world, 16th century Istanbul at the height of its power, the interior spaces of Sinan's mosques, the underground water channels through which a paper boat sails, is exactly the kind of world that animation can render. At every book signing I have attended over the past 9 years, children ask the same question. Is there a film? Is there a game? They are telling me something important. They are telling me that this story has the power to hold their attention, that Sinan can be as compelling as any fictional hero if the story is told in the right way. What I have at this stage is a script outline based on the novel's existing structure and a very clear vision of what this should become. What I do not yet have is the production team, the funding pathway, or the institutional partnership to make it happen. I'm not presenting a finished project. I'm here to find the people who can help build it. Let's come to the bigger idea. I want to propose something larger than a single animated series, actually. Think about the landscape of popular science communication on YouTube. Kurs Gesellschaft has built an audience of 25 million subscribers around rigorous research, beautifully animated short videos about science. Oversimplified and History Matters have done the same for history. There are channels dedicated to mathematics, to economics, etc. What does not yet exist anywhere in any language is an equivalent channel dedicated to architectural history. Think about what that could mean. The story of how the Roman Pantheon stone was cast and stood for 2000 years. The engineering of Hagia Sophia's pendentives, which allow a circular dome to sit on a square base. How Gothic cathedrals solved the problem of lateral truss with flying buttresses. How Islamic architects developed the muqarnas. And yes, how Sinan's water system supplied a city of 1 million people across kilometers of underground channels and stone aqueducts without a single pump driven by anything other than the gravity. These are extraordinary stories. They have the drama, the scale, and the visual richness that animation was made for. And they are almost entirely absent from mainstream popular media. Well, the channel I am proposing will fill that gap. It will be rigorous. Every episode researched and verified. It will be multilingual from launch because this history belongs to everyone, and it will be built on a sustainable model, a dedicated audience, multiple revenue systems, a small but expert production team. The Architect Sinan Adventure animated series will be the pilot, the proof of concept that establishes the channel's tone, quality, and reach. Its success funds the next production, and the channel grows from there, Byzantine, Baroque, Islamic, Modernist, and beyond. Let us see the roadmap now. In phase one, the foundation, the script development, partner identification, funding applications, and the production of a pilot episode is done. This is where the project needs to be initiated, and this is where this conversation becomes concrete. Phase two is the launch. The Architect Sinan Adventure series goes out, the channel launches alongside it, and the first multilingual versions are released. The goal at this stage is to establish audience and credibility. Phase three is expansion, new topics, new historical periods, new languages, a growing library of architectural user content for a global audience. The reason I'm standing here is that I believe Digital Updates is the right environment to initiate phase one. The network this event brings together is exactly the communities this project needs. Digital communities, cultural heritage, educational media, and creative technology. What I am looking for? Well, firstly, animation studios or production companies, ideally with some experience in education or heritage content, who are interested in co-developing the Architect Sinan Adventure as a pilot project. Second, academic or institutional partners, museums, architectural heritage organizations, universities, who could contribute to content development, provide access to visual and archival resources, or help through formal association. Third, colleagues in digital heritage communication who share the conviction of popular animation is a serious underused tool for reaching new audiences. And fourth, anyone with the experience in the funding landscape for projects of this kind, cultural grants, public broadcaster co-productions, European media funds, that in the right hands could unlock phase one. Let me close where I began. For 9 years, at every book signing, children are asking this. Is there a film? Is there a game? My answer has always been not yet. But behind that answer, there is a conviction I have had since I wrote the first page of this book, that Sinan's story deserves to be told at scale, in moving images, in multiple languages, for audiences who will never read a Turkish children's novel. the least we can do is tell his story well. I believe animations and games are the best ways to do that for the next generations. And I believe that the partnership that could make it happen can begin in a network like this one. I would very much like to talk to you. Thank you.